I firmly believe that the next generation of leaders is faced with much more complex problems than perhaps my generation was.
Hello and welcome to our Meet the Coach series. I'm your host, Carla Egan, and today we're diving into the topic of the power of the pause. Our guest today is Steve Goudswaard, and he's the founder of Navigating the Uncertain. And he's an executive coach and partners with leaders to navigate the uncertainty and the complexity with purpose. Steve joins us from Wandin North in Victoria. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, Carla. Good to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you on our Meet the Coach series. Steve, our topic's the power of the pause. So I'm going to start by asking you to elaborate on what do you mean by the power of the pause and how does it play into coaching and into personal development?
I think Viktor Frankl talked about between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So I think what we can do in a space is just reset, perhaps look a little bit laterally for a different idea, and then more importantly, make a choice about whether we go forward, whether we go back, but really respond rather than react. When it comes to coaching, I think that's what we try and do. We create space for our clients to process, to really bring something from the back of the mind that's not yet an idea to the front of the mind, so that it's given language and they can actually create a plan around it.
Great, I like that. I also picked up on your comment that, many people have the choice to pause. Now, in our busy lives, everyone's, doing lots of things, juggling, work and careers, businesses, family responsibilities. So how do we take time to make that choice? How do we incorporate the power of the pause? How do we make that benefit people that are busy in their lives? Can you share what some real life examples might look like?
I think during COVID, I started walking on the trail here in Wandin, and that really gave me the habit of getting out, of being in nature, and setting up my day. I think that recently a student came up to me and said, "How do I stop from reacting?" And I just said, just take that breath. And even that breath, when you're feeling that anxiety raise up, you can reset your mind. I have a friend that says, "Can I have a thinking buddy? Can you just check in with me?" And I think that works really well. Even getting up from your desk and going for a walk around your office or your home or something like that, something small. Recently, I did a course where he talked about just noticing the sounds that you hear far away and close, or music when you're in the car. Just that reset moment, and being intentional about it.
And for me, it sounds like there's that moment of pause, but also taking that deep breath in, perhaps a moment of reflection, but just settle and being in the presence. Have I picked up that from you?
Absolutely. So be present, allow your mind to just move laterally, perhaps, or not just get all caught up. Like sometimes we get so busy in our heads that we just need a bit of a circuit breaker. I think the other thing I would say is that quite often when we're busy like that, we get narrow or a bit myopic, and often what we like to do is look laterally, and so looking for the adjacent possibility is the other piece.
Now, Steve, as a coach, you've been doing coaching for a number of years. Can you just share a little bit about your journey and how you got to be a coach and where you are now?
I think I came into coaching because I used to work in emergency response in many countries around the world. And we were faced with the challenge of how do you grow leaders in uncertainty, ambiguity, volatility. And in that process, we discovered that we didn't need to wait 15 years to grow people. What we could do is we could match training with coaching and provide people some contextualized engagement. By far, the most effective thing that we did was to provide 6 months of coaching to people to support their learning journeys. And so when I left that kind of work, I wanted to stay in coaching because of the value add that it provided me and what I saw that it provided students that I was working with. And I firmly believe that the next generation of leaders is faced with much more complex problems than perhaps my generation was. And so instilling a habit of coaching from early on, I think is important, but also this ability to be able to think differently, to access more diverse wisdom, will enable them to face the challenges that are facing them now and will continue to face them.
And no doubt, given your experience in working in emergency situations, that moment of pause, that almost bringing immediate calmness to the situation can give you clarity of ways, the next steps forward and what to do next, rather than get overwhelmed with the situation and almost being distracted by things. And it happens to people's lives as well when there's accidents or you're running late. Talk us a little bit about that.
Well, the thing is, we've never been here before. I've never been in this conversation with you before. I don't know what's going to happen in the next part of the conversation, and that's how life is. Emergency response taught me that the next step was unknown. And so what we needed to do, as I think Heifetz and Linsky says, is get on the balcony and set up the experiment. I'm going to try this. This is my best idea. And when that idea is implemented, you sit off it and you reflect and you say, did it work or didn't it work? Let me enhance what's working and let me dampen what's not working. And that was really clear in emergency response. But it's also really clear in any natural system. And we particularly discovered that when we went through COVID together, that we hadn't been here before. We weren't sure where we were going to go next, and we needed to lead other people through uncertainty when we felt uncertain ourselves. And so the ability to pause is to stop and reset, like you're saying, to be able to set that experiment for what's my next step. And sometimes it's about reflecting on how I've gone with my previous step.
Yeah, terrific. And it's also, about thinking before you react, choosing to respond in a situation. And it can make a big difference in how we grow as humans, but also how we make decisions and how we communicate in a fast-paced world that we all live in now. Yeah. Steve, as a coach, as an executive coach, what does joining the coaching directory mean to you and your business?
I think joining the directory allows me to have access to peer coaches, to people who are working in a similar field but slightly different to what I do. We can band together and advertise and offer coaching to a lot more people. When you work by yourself, it can be a bit lonely. So it's good to have peers to hang out with and do this kind of thing, Carla.
Terrific, Steve. And look, that brings us to the end of our Meet the Coach interview with you, Steve.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Your topic is a reminder that pausing is not just a theory, it's something that we can easily integrate into our daily routine, despite how busy we might be or whatever's going on around us. So thanks for an insightful conversation.
Thank you, Carla. Talk to you again.
For those of you that are eager to dive deeper into the realms of coaching and personal development, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us, and be sure to catch us in the next episode. This is Carla Egan. I'm your host from the Coaching Directory, where we connect you to your ideal coach.